welcome to this webinar, first of 2023. And we're grateful that you're here joining us in this format. It's new to us. So, oh my gosh, I should learn how to turn notifications off. That would be helpful. As mentioned, my name is Jackie Zahner. I'm the founder, and this is the first of our workshop series called The Power of Intention, Increasing Your Prosperity in 2023 and Beyond. And at SheMoney, if you follow us, I guess you must know about us. That's why you're here. Hi, Heidi. We are all about the fact that money matters, and we care deeply about financial wellness, financial freedom. And as a company, as a platform dedicated to women plus money and financial equity, we are going to be doing a lot more programming in 2023. And this is our very first. So thank you for joining. And we also really want to thank our partners here in Salt Lake, especially Zion's Bank, who's been an amazing champion for me and for our company, and just do so much work here and in the Mountain West to support Women Plus. And we're actually having this event from a gorgeous space in Salt Lake called Kiln Salt Lake City, where we also have offices up in Park City. So if you're visiting, please be sure to pop by and see us.
Please. Yeah, no rush.
Oh, can everyone?
I can get up and get it too.
Oh, someone's not muted. Eve, that might be you. Thank you. So we encourage you to stay on camera if you like to, and also keep your obviously on mute, and we're going to be going into breakout groups. Hi, Laura, joining from New York. And so what are we talking about today? Well, really, we could have started this year with anything and thought about diving immediately into content, how to invest, what are the best ideas for 2023. But we also wanted to recognize the importance of taking a step back and focusing on self, our intentions, and what's our mindset coming into 2023, and what are we inviting in? And when we thought of starting with the power of intention, and I love this quote, I came upon it not too long ago, that intention is not wishful thinking, it's willful direction. So we really invite you to think about, where are you setting direction in 2023? And we could not think of a better woman to kick off this session and this year of programming with us other than Rasa DiSalvo. And Rasa is a business, high performance, and transformational coach, speaker, and athlete that we just met about a month ago. And I will just say we fell in love with her immediately. She coaches founders, executives, celebrities, and CEOs across the globe, guiding them to achieve outstanding results. Needless to say, you're going to figure this out in a minute. She's an extremely sought out after speaker. And let me just say, she's got a heart this big. And anyone who goosies up as much as me and Rasa and J-Lo, you know that I fall immediately in love with. So thanks for joining us today. And Rasa, over to you.
Oh, thank you, Jackie, for such a beautiful introduction. And thank you all for being here. What a privilege to be with all of you here today and start this year talking about how can we increase prosperity and joy in our lives. So thank you for being here. We have about an hour together, and I promise to give my all to share everything that I know through my experiences, through my studies with all the renowned experts. And at the end, some of you might want to go further. So we have a gift for you. So anybody likes gifts? Yes, I hope everybody's hands would go up. So if so, we'll have one at the end of this workshop together. And what I want to ask from you is to be open to receive what you came here to receive. Each of you took time of your day away from your families, had to figure it out, the things, lunches, whatever that you needed to arrange to be here. So somebody called you to be here today. So I would invite you to be open to whatever that was, to drop in and become an insight for you. So everybody promise to be open to receive whatever that is to receive. Awesome. All right. So what first I'd like for you to do is to write down an intention. And I hope you all have pen and paper. We send beautiful handouts for the wellness wheel. If you printed that, great. If not, don't worry. But I hope you all have a pen and paper. If not, grab one, because the highest performers take great notes, right? And even if you're never going to look at these notes again, you will recall 80% more by just writing it out. So anything that stands out, just keep writing, taking notes. Beautiful. And thank you for dropping where you're from. And Julie, yes, hello, Julie. So great to see you, some familiar faces. So I think we have people from all over the country today and maybe even international. So please drop in where you're from. And if you would willing, share your intention. If I see in the chat your intentions, I will be able to tweak and share the content that will answer your questions or will be alignment with your intentions. So write in the chat or for yourself, what is your intention today? What is that you're hoping to get out of you today? I'll give you a minute to think about it, to connect to that, and maybe share in the chat. And I'll share my intention that each and every single one of you connect to that abundant, magnificent version of yourself that you already are. Because when you do, you create all of the external abundance, result, money, all the things that we desire, but it starts with us, right? When we connect to that version of ourselves. So that's my intention, is that every single one of you will walk away from today remembering how magnificent you truly are. So awesome. Let me see for the Casey said to communicate more and with better clarity with people who can support me to build my business. Beautiful, Casey. We'll talk about this. Let go of 2022 and create a better mindset overall for 23. Fantastic, Rebecca. That's exactly what we're doing today. To connect to my own courage, to pursue my true passion. Oh, yes, Julie, you're now speaking my language. Amazing. Yes. I'll touch a little bit on this. Beautiful. Patricia, Women's Leadership Institute. Oh, that's where you're calling. Great. Let us know what your intention to connect and grow and learn how to be confident in my gifts and their development. Oh my goodness. I love. Show up authentically, make a difference in people's lives. Awesome. And now, as you have an intention, think of one question. What question would you like to ask that if you know the answer to it, that will get you closer to that intention or allow you to make that happen? One question. Because oftentimes we have a question, we're almost like, oh, I want it to be answered. So I want you to write down the question and then table it and leave it for, just kind of let it sit so you can be truly open, truly present. And then we'll get to that question at the end. Just think of one question that you would love to get answered today. Just take 30 seconds. Beautiful. So whatever the intention is, or whatever reason that you showed up here today, perhaps you wanted to share your gifts. Perhaps you want to get compensated better for sharing the gifts. Maybe you want to grow your business. Maybe you want to raise the money. Maybe you want to invest in your first investment property. Maybe you're trying to get out of debt. Maybe you are building your emergency fund. Whatever your intention is, know that you're in the right place. And SheMoney is the space that celebrates all of these stories, wherever we are in that journey. So we support, celebrate, encourage each other to share and connect through that, and provide a space to elevate and champion the path towards the financial freedom for each and single one of incredible women that are decide to be part of this beautiful community. So just know that you're in the right place and that you know that you're not alone. Wherever you are on that money journey. When I was 8 or 9, I had a dream to one day live in the United States and live on the beach. And that dream is my reality. I get to, not today I'm in this beautiful studio at Kiln. You guys love this studio. How cool is that? But in my home studio, my home, I get to see the ocean through my window. And that was my dream since little grown up. But that was not always the case. I had this vision that I'd live in the US one day. And I, at the age of probably 12, I started to go to internet cafes. Anybody remembers internet cafes? Eve goes like, yes, right. So I'd go to internet cafes and I put my parents into the green card lottery. I thought, okay, that's my only way. That's my only way that I would ever get this opportunity to come to the US. But I'm so grateful that I never actually won that green card lottery, because what life got in store was even better for me. At the age of 17, I played volleyball, was doing pretty good. And my coach walked in one day and said, I know this coach from University of Illinois, and he's looking for volleyball players. And I remember the rest of my teammates like giggled away to the locker, and I just remained seating, knowing that, oh my God, this is my opportunity. So I went and emailed this coach, and I said, you know what, like I'm from Lithuania, play volleyball, would love to learn more. So he goes, great, send me a tape. I was like, oh my God, I don't even know a single person with the camera. That was in 2001. And so then in my mind, like, well, that's not going to happen. And fortunately, like about a week ago after, I learned about this opportunity that our Lithuania will be representing, that they will look for one team to represent Lithuania in Canada. So I made a decision that I'm going to be that team, that I'm going to be that team, that beach volleyball team that's going to represent. There's a playoffs, and I muster up all of the strengths, everything that I had at the age of 17 or 16 were at the time, with a lot of help from above, wound up winning this tournament, going to Canada, and the coach saw me compete. We got our butts kicked by the international beach community, but he saw in me what I was hoping he would see, and he offered me a scholarship on the spot. I then needed to learn the English in the 6 months, which I put myself on the program. I made a decision that will pass this test. So I put myself on the program, and I studied for 6 months for about 5 to 6 hours a day. I remember it was like 120 or so words that I needed to memorize each day. And I passed the test. And at the age of 18, I landed at O'Hare Airport with 2 duffel bags and $100 in my hands. That was my parents' entire savings that they sent me off. And I remember walking out of that airplane feeling more abundant than ever, and thinking, if you have a burning desire, no dream is too big. And that belief is one of my core beliefs that I carry in life. And I love that now I get to share that sense and allow my clients to tap into that gift. But that was not always the case. I studied finance and got a job at a consulting firm that I disliked from day one. I knew that I was not in my path, but never mind. For the next 15 years, I furiously climbed career ladder, disliking every minute of it. But the more I made, the more stuck I felt. And I had another dream to follow my passion for human potential, for high performance, to support other people, to reconnect to that feeling that I had when I was 18, to know that if you have a burning desire, no dream is too big. And yet I felt like I was moving further and further away from it. And I really wanted to leave my job, but I couldn't. And I couldn't figure out why, even though I would cried on a weekly basis because of my boss, worked on vacations, did all of these things. And I was just like so wanting to leave and couldn't figure out what that was that holding me back, until I learned that something what was holding me back was my money mindset. And all of a sudden, I was declaring to myself and to the world that staying in this job that I don't like and making this money was more important than me following my heart desires. I want to become aware that that's exactly what's stopping me. I dove into books, courses, I hired coaches, I went into development, I joined the mastermind, and slowly that started to shift. And as that started to shift, I continued to feed my desire. I continued to elevate that desire. And as that desire got bigger, I got more courage. And I left my job and started my business. And now I get to support people to build their dreams, to step in what they would love to do with their passion, in build their businesses, in get over all of these money beliefs that's holding us back, that we're not even aware of it. So that's why I'm so passionate about this work, and I'm so excited to share with all of you. I'm so excited. Thank you, Jackie, and the whole team for having me here, because this topic is so close to my heart, because it has been such a transformational journey going through this. So super excited about it. So I hope you guys are as excited, because as we'll share today, our money mindset impacts all of our areas of life. And today we're going to start to shift that. So beautiful. But before we get there, here's what we'll cover today. And we'll cover what is money mindset, right? We're just talking about it's like a common term, but it's not. So what is money mindset? How it gets in the way. And then we'll talk about why the intention is so powerful, especially around this topic. And then together we'll use a powerful tool using SheMoney Wellness Wheel, and we'll do a exercise together. Will you create a version of the wealthy you and connect to that feeling of what that feels like it, right? And we'll start actually creating that path for you today. So beautiful. And then we'll do some sharing, and at the end we'll close out any of the Q&A. So please hold those questions. So that's really what today looks like. Good. Everybody's good with that. Awesome. I see Emily's nodding. Love it. Okay, beautiful. So what is money mindset? Money mindset, we each have a money mindset, and our money mindset governs how much good we allow in our lives. It acts like a thermostat in your house, right? It's set on a certain degree at a certain temperature, and its job is to notice variance. And the minute it goes over certain set amount, it finds a way to shut it down. And that's exactly what our money mindset is. It governs how much good, both in wealth, income, but it's also in unconditional relationships, unconditional love, wellness, and well-being, right? Amazing experiences and people we connect to. So it's not just about the money, but it's the foundation of how much good we allowed it, right? So sometimes we believe that money mindset is not something that affects us, right? Well, I have a pretty good relationship with money, but when we go into certain areas, it all of a sudden you'll start notice, right? If you're staying at the job you don't like, there's some dependency on the money or some view that is holding us there, right? If I'm staying in the relationship that is not supportive, but I'm afraid that I won't be able to make myself financially stable or financially provide for myself, I am declaring, right, that money is holding me from stepping into opportunities that I would like to create, right? So we each have it. And that money mindset is something that gets formed really early on in life. And it's conditioned by the parents, by the teachers, and by our environment. So it's been with us for a long, long time. That's why people are having a harder time to break through a certain income level, certain growth in our business, certain wealth creation, and the same even in certain in experiences, right? But good news, that money mindset can be reprogrammed. And this is exactly where it starts, is to become aware of it. And that's what we're doing here together. First is become aware of it. Then notice exactly what beliefs do we have about money, right? And we have, as I bet, however many beautiful women we have in the room, each of us have a different belief about money. And if you wrote down, which actually I would like for you to take a piece of paper and write down, what is your 3 beliefs that you have about money? And it could be you have to work hard for the money, right? Or it could be something like money doesn't grow on trees. And if that's your belief, you might pass up opportunities for sometimes when money is actually really easily flow to us, right? Something else might be money is evil, and not in the way that it's evil, but sometimes like, oh, rich people, like more money, more problems. If your parents repeated that consistently, like your subconscious does not allow you to become more wealthy because of that belief. So whatever it is, just right, you can probably come up with 3, 4. Somebody could be like, I will not be able to make $1 million ever, which is just a belief, right? That's not a fact. Belief is not a fact. It's a sentence in our mind. But yet, when we continuously to repeat it in our mind, that feels like a fact. So that what really mindset in. We only have like an hour together, so we won't be able to go really into, all the money blocks and all the beliefs. But I just wanted to get a foundation, so we all on the same page. And so now, what really gets in the way? So consider our money mindset as a water faucet. There's always water available. Like for the shower, you're not like thinking like, oh, there's no water available. There's always water available, but we've either open or closed to it. And right, there's endless money available to us, but when we don't see it, or when we're not open and that faucet is closed, we believe that it's not there or it's not available for us. When in reality, we just have a money mindset block that is closing the faucet. And therefore, we're like, that's our reality for that moment. But what that closed faucet is, what I call it, is a poor mindset. And poor mindset standing for passing over opportunities repeatedly. So let's say when we say, oh, I can't afford it, what we're really saying that I cannot get this thing I desire with what I currently have. But what we're really saying is I'm not willing to go beyond of what I currently am. So the attitude of I cannot afford it, it's a story that we tell to ourselves as an excuse for not stretching ourselves beyond our current limits. You could write it down. That's a story we tell ourselves as an excuse to not stretch beyond our current limits. Bless you, Julie. So what are we really passing over? We're passing over an opportunity to grow, right? To increase our knowledge, to take more powerful action, and to get the results that we really desire, right? Like I could have said like, oh, I don't know English. There's no way I can pass exams. Or I'd be like, hey, how do I pass exams? Well, that's going to be a little bit of work, right? Okay. So the better question to ask is, how can I afford it? And this is actually really beautiful with your kids. For those of you who have kids, right? You can tell your kids, can't afford it. Sometimes it's easier to tell them, we can't afford this, right? Because it's end of conversation. And it's easy. And I guarantee most of you heard that from the early on in childhood. For the better, when my son, Thomas, asked something, I was like, oh, how could you afford it? You really want this Nintendo? How could you afford it? Right? And then in his mind, like, oh, I could do a lemonade stand. And he was like, oh, how many lemonades are you going to need to sell it? It's like, oh, yeah, I cannot sell it for $1, but maybe I could sell it for $5. I'm like, well, then that better be really damn good lemonade. It's like, well, maybe I can add like a chocolate with it. Like, but that allows him to think outside the box and think about it. Okay, how can I do it? I really want this thing, right? Like when we first moved to California, my husband said like, I don't know, like houses like cost millions here. Like we can't afford it. And I was like, how could we afford it? If we're like really want, how could we? and we found a way, right? So it's that openness is really exactly, and I hope today this is a big shift and starts like, think of that one thing you really desire in your life and ask, how can I create that in my life? Beautiful. Okay. So then now that we know what money mindset is, how it blocks us, the next thing is let's make really powerful intention of a wealthy you and create a life you would absolutely love with that assumption that you could afford anything you desire and make a decision that you want it. Right? Brock Proctor has this really beautiful quote, and it says, if you haven't decided you want it, don't worry about being able to afford it because you haven't decided you want it. So first decision is right. First is like decide I want it. So that's what we're going to do together. And I wanted to share a quick secret. It's not really so secret, but the really real reason why your imagination, the vision, the intention, whatever the word that resonates is so important to your brain and to your opportunity and path to create that. In 2009, Harvard did this unbelievable study. They took 12 pianists, they put them in the room, hooked them up to the devices, and monitored while they're playing a piece, and looked which parts of their brain lit up. Then later, they took them in a different room, put them with the same devices, and asked them to imagine playing that piece. And what they learned is that the same parts of their brains lit up, exact same parts lit up, whether they played actually or imagined playing it. So what conclusion they made from that is that your brain does not know the difference between the reality and imagination. And the way that our technology of our brain works is that the minute we start to imagine and visualize something, it starts to create a new neural pathways as if that thing has already happened. So how cool is that? Your brain is creating a path and creating a memory of the thing that hasn't happened yet. And this is not science fiction, is a science fact. And it's driven by Ebb's law, the neurons that fire together, wire together. And it's also, what it does is also, as we put a vision, whether I want a beach house, or I want to grow to this business to 1 million, 10 millions, or I want to launch this business, or I want to move to the city that I would love to live, whatever that intention is, when we first have that vision in our mind, when we write it down, what our brain does, it activates this vision through our reticular activating system. You don't need to remember what that is. It stands for RAS, but it's part of our brain that now puts this new vision that you have as an important thing into your life and brings from your environment the opportunities that connected to this thing that it said, oh, this is important. We're going to pay attention. Because every day we're bombarded with, like, I can remember the number, I think like 50,000 or more like pieces of information that our brain, most of it blocks off unless it decides it's important. So that's your RAS in motion. And like, have you ever bought a car and you never noticed that car in the street and now you see that everywhere? Like, have ever happened that, or like, oh, now I see this car, or an outfit? Like, you bought something and you're like, is half of a town wearing this blazer now I just bought? Right? So that's your reticular activating system in action. Remember, I shared the story when I was at that practice and my coach mentioned, I asked my teammate later and I said, do you guys remember when the coach like shared about this, opportunity to play in US? Not a single one of them could recall it. Like, what are you talking about? That was my dream. That was my vision. So my brain was like, ding, 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 Rasa, this is life-changing. Pay attention. Well, for somebody else who was not in their dream, vision, intention, that never even registered, right? Like they just like moved on to the next thing. So that is why the intention combined, right, with inspired action, then we're not going to cover that today, but will be plenty of this in the future at SheMoney. But today is really creating that vision of a wealthy you. And that's what we're going to do together. Beautiful. Awesome. Any comments or anything so far? I see I haven't, hold on. Neurons that fire together. Yes, yes, yes. Sorry, like angel number. I love that. Yes, reminding it. Right. You will, once you connect to first your version, then you will notice all these things that are coming to your awareness. So beautiful. So what we're going to do next, right? We talked about the money mindset. We talked about it, how it gets in the way. And we talked about it, why intention is so important. So next, now we'll do this exercise together using this powerful tool, the SheMoney Wellness Wheel. We send a printout of it. Here's, I just filled out mine last night. But Maddie, if you don't mind sharing, beautiful. If you don't have it, don't worry. You can just use. We'll just take each of them, and create a powerful intention around each of them. But important one thing I want you to ask is put the how on hold. Most people want to have abundant life, have beautiful relationship, have stimulating and fulfilling work that they are plenty compensated for, and go on spectacular experiences. But most people are not able to create that. And the reason why is that they, first of all, do not allow themselves to imagine that. And if we just start to imagine, our mind immediately go to, but how? But how would I make $1 million? Oh, but how would I able to, like, I can't afford that, right? Well, we talk like, so your mind starts to block all of that before it gets anything. It's basically like intention is like putting a seed in the ground and then watering, knowing that it takes a gestational period to come out, versus most people like, put a plant or put a seed and be like, well, nothing is coming out. I told you this thing is not working, right? So how long is it taking? Where's the corn? Where's the orange tree? Where is the banana tree? Like nothing is coming. So the intention is like that seed. So what I want you, knowing that this intention, the seed, I want you to imagine the tree that will come from that seed. If you wanted an avocado tree, this is where we're thinking about it, like, right, we're there. And this is just analogy, like, you don't have to want an avocado tree. It would be actually really difficult, impossible in Utah. It is, California, a lot of people have an avocado tree, and that's in my vision. So, but what I'm saying is, let's put the how on hold and create this beautiful vision of a wealthy you. So here's how I have everybody's promise to put the how on hold for a minute. Can't see it, all of you, because now I'm like I see this beautiful graphic. So I hope that you do. So allow yourself, imagine the most abundant version of yourself, and imagine it's the end of 2023. And if that seems too close and your mind is like, start to resist, I'm like, if I can create all this abundance in 1 year. That's, by the way, just your money mindset speaking, but let's just put a 3-year period. Okay, maybe at the end of 2025. Imagine you are living your most abundant, prosperous, alive, joyful life. I want to see what is true for you. So in this financial wellness wheel, which is so amazing, right? At SheMoney, if you're familiar with the work, we believe that the financial wellness is the center of all of the other abundance, wellness, freedom in our lives. So as we improve our money mindset, improve our money tactics, and able to better ourselves in this space, all of other areas in our lives become elevated. Yes, it doesn't solve all the problems, but it greatly, positively impacts all others. So we're going to look through in this exercise through that lens. And we will start with, I think at the top of your handout, you should see emotional, like with the emotional piece. And the way I would like for you to do this exercise is first, on the first line, write down, how would you love to feel in this area? Assume you're living your most abundant, joyous life, and you are that version that created that. How do you feel? So you can start writing, and I'll give you like prompts. So I'll speak through it, but just write anything that comes up. So on the first line, we'll write, how do you want to feel in this area? And on the second line, I'd like for you to have an image of what that looks like, right? So I'll give an example. For example, for emotional, for me, like I wrote it down, I'd love to feel at ease and calm, moving through the day with joy and in a high vibrational state, right? To me, that like, and the picture that I know when I'm in this space, in this state, is when I walk on the beach and I'm skipping on the beach. I'm so joyful. I'm so excited. I'm so like just overjoyed with life that I'm like literally skip on the beach. I've done that a number of times. Probably people think I'm crazy, but I literally do. There's some days that I'm like, I love the life that I live in. I love what I created. And so to me, that's the image. When I think of mine, when I'm that space, me skipping on the beach, not even walking, skipping, right? So write down for yourself on the first line, how would you love to feel? And then just bring one image that would embody that feeling. And it could be like something more tactical and more specific, or it could be, I'll give some more prompts. So I'll give everybody 30 seconds or so to write that down. And then we'll move to the next one, is our physical. That abundant, prosperous version of yourself, how would you like to feel physically? For me, I wrote down like strong, vibrant, rested, nourished, right? And the image that would come up is, for me, to play in Manhattan Beach Open. That's a volleyball tournament. I know when I play, and to me, I'm like playing on a center court. And I know for me to do that, like I'm in my greatest and highest physical shape. So write down, what is that for you? Next is occupational. Write down, how do you feel? And it could be, I love what I do, or I get well compensated for what I do. And maybe image, maybe it's getting promotion, maybe it's raising the money for the business, maybe your business growing to a certain level, right? Maybe it's making an impact in people's lives, whatever that is for you, occupational. Maybe it's speaking on stages, maybe it's writing a book. What it is for you. How would you like to feel? And what's the image, brief image? And next one, environmental. And this one you can think in micro and macro. It could be your immediate reality, it could be your immediate environment. Like maybe I'd like to have a better work from home space, or it could be, I'd love to adopt a certain lifestyle that is more supporting for our environment. Maybe I'd like to give and support causes that are close to my heart. What is one way you would like to feel about your environment? And what is one image? Like for us this year is buying a house. Like I need a better space for me to work. And I'm so excited, right? And I picture this, like what I have, like a place that I can do videos, the conferences, the content is null space instead of me need to like currently have to like reshuffle and re-coordinate it because it's in this common space, right? So your immediate environment, we can think about that. And also, what is one way external and in macro, how is there any image that comes up? Maybe I'd love to volunteer, maybe I'd like to go donate, whatever that is for you. Next is spiritual. How would you like to feel? Connected to the higher self, trusting in my guides. I saw Jackie said, and trusting in my guidance, elevated consciousness, whatever that is for you, right? And what for me, one desire is like, I'd love to have a experience of the plant medicine this year. And have it like imagine this very beautiful supported ritual. That's one of my visions and intentions this year, or whatever that is for you. Maybe start meditating, maybe just spending a few minutes in silence, whatever that is. What is that in spiritual? And what it feels like. Next one in the relationship. Right? What would you love if you are in a relationship? What would you love to feel? Maybe I would love more passion. I would love the more passion in my life. I would love more unconditional love. I would love compassionate communication. If you're not in a relationship, like think I would love a partner when we fully understand, cherish, love, and support each other. Whatever that is. Whatever that abundant version of yourself would be able to create, right? Oftentimes relationship, when we're in a lack mentality, there's so much stress that we create, right? Because there's like, oh, and this and money conversation comes up all the time in the relationship, right? Like, if you have an abundant mind and mindset, like I'd love to connect to that version that is not worried about the money, right? And knowing, you know what, we can figure this out together. So for a relationship. What about intellectual? What would you do? For me, was feeling expansive, curious, read 1 to 2 books per month, continue to invest in myself in coaching, because that's been such a transformational journey for me. And right, like, and continue to investing in myself and increasing my value, because money is an output. When I invest in myself and my personal growth, right? When I'm investing in these opportunities to grow, which with every single one of you doing today, celebrating that, right? As you raise your value, you're in an input, right? Like you raise that value, money is an output, right? That just ends up generating more abundance because of that. So what is your one thing in the intellectual? And then we'll go to financial. How would you like to feel? Like when I was leaving my corporate career, my one intention was like, I want to feel like I felt when I came to the US, that I was unstoppable. I wasn't worried about money. I knew I figured it out. I wanted to feel that. And I felt more abundant having $100 than making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it doesn't matter the amount. How would you love to feel? I want to feel calm and peace about it. I want to have this knowing that I will always be able to unlock and open that faucet and tap into that abundance. Right? And whatever that is, whatever's the number, maybe I would love to build this wealth or have this income. So this is kind of a high level finance, and we'll in a minute go into more in-depth vision in your finance using the 7 money moves. But before we go there, Maddie, do you mind putting that down a little bit, the graphic? And I'd love to ask, and I'm being conscious of time, want to make sure we have 10 minutes. I want to see what showed up. Anybody would love to share? What showed up as you did this exercise? Anything came up? Any aha insights? Anything? Would love for you to share. Oh, I see. Pamela shared about the pineapples. Yeah, it takes 18 months, but when it builds abundance, that might take 18 months, maybe longer, but it's worth it, right? Because it'll continue to give fruit for over and over again. So who would love to share?
I can
I'm on
share.
the- Beautiful.
I was surprised that, I really got into this exercise a little bit more as it went, but I was surprised that like the first word that came up for me around emotional was being able to feel generous. And it really like I do consider myself a generous person, but I wasn't really checked in with how scarcity impacts something that I feel is like so core to who I am as a person. And that like the idea of thinking in a like full abundance mindset about like what would it feel like, that was the first word that occurred to me. And so it kind of colored how I thought about the rest of the exercise, because I was like, how do all of these things support me to be at my most generous? And like, what are the different areas where like I feel like there are kind of drains to my generosity? And so something else that came up connected to that was like when I was thinking about relational and intellectual, like feeling like relational to me, it's about feeling supported unconditionally, like however I am in that moment. And that is something that I try to offer other people as an act of generosity. And then also thinking about intellectual, like I like to learn and explore without anything to prove to anyone. And like, I feel like that is an abundant area. And that's also, if you don't have to prove something, you can be really generous with your knowledge and yourself. And so it was interesting to me to see like, oh, abundance really is the ability to be generous. Like, how can you think about that in other ways and connect it to other things, and like see how scarcity gets in the way of that?
Yes, and Eve, so beautiful. And you know what? The generosity is congruent with abundance, right? Because when I'm generous, that means I'm not in the lack, right? And I know that I have enough. I will always continue to tap into that, right? Like I'll able to earn, I'll able to learn new skills. If these are obsolete, like I will figure it out, right? So
Sure.
when we are that, the generosity and gratitude are the two emotions that are most in alignment with abundance. And oftentimes what we think, oh, once I make this much money or have this much in my bank, I'll feel generous. When in the actually it's the reverse.
Right.
And we feel generous, we are claiming energetically, right? And to our brain that like, I have enough, and I'm lovingly sharing that goodness with others. So beautiful, beautiful. Love, love, love that. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Anybody else? What would come up? Would love to take like one or two. I know we're almost out of time. Anybody else? Okay. If not, then let's go into financial. We'll go through, because financial is a big area, and so we like to think about it and through these 7 money moves, which we have awesome. Jackie has created awesome dance moves that would love to share all of that as well. But so we think about money through 7 moves, and I'd like to start with earn. So if you have that second sheet or in your notebook, what would be your intention around earn? right? An intention could be like, I'd love to earn money, but in this new way, using these gifts, right? Somebody was sharing in the chat earlier. I would love to use my gifts that I would love to share. Like for me, I was like really good in my field and used all this great knowledge of project management and evaluation and this and Excel sheets, and I was really good at it. But it was not the gift that I was earning to share with the world, and that's not what I came here to do, right? I came to do this, what I'm doing now, and so I was earning to share my gifts. So and I was earning to earn a certain level of income doing that. So tell me and write it down. What would be your intention? And this one used for this year specifically. What would I love to earn this year? Maybe I'd love a promotion. Maybe I'd love to create more passive income. Maybe I'd like to start a side hustle and earn this X amount a month or a year. So right now, what will be your attention there? The next one, what would I like to save? And generally the rule of thumb, we all should be spending 10 to 30%. So for me, when I thought about my saving this year, I'm like, oh, I think I'm like at 15%. Like I'd love to increase that to 20, right? So whatever that is, like, what would I love to save? And the easiest way to do that is what we talk about it all the time, pay yourself first. Oftentimes we create fancy budgets and they fall apart every single time because we budget for what we need and then we end up spending for what we want. We'll always justify why that is important, right? So the only way to increase that saving amount is to pay ourselves first, meaning you just like the 401 account, 401k works, you just automatically have like a deducted to either your savings or to your investment account, whatever it is. There's definitely, we'll cover this more often, but automatically do that first, and then you'll figure out with the rest of the bucket. You won't even notice that is already put away because you will just work with that remaining amount. And 10% is less impactful than you think, right? So save. What is your save intention for this year? And I see we're approaching the time limit, so I hope that's okay. And you guys okay if we stay a few more minutes after? Hope that's okay. Let me know if you need to go, but we'll try to get through the exercise, and for the questions, we'll stay for a little bit extra time. So what's your intention in saving? And the next one, what's your intention in investing? Maybe it's like, I'd love to invest in the market. Maybe I'd like to invest in investment property, Airbnb. Maybe I'd love to create and start a fund for the kids' college. Whatever that is, like write down what's your one intention there, one or two intentions. Next one, what would I like to spend? Right? Maybe like my expenses got out of control. I'd like to get a little bit more in alignment with what I'd like that to be. Maybe the intention, I'd love to align my spending with my values. Our credit card statement or bank statement directly reflects what we value. So if you have to think about it, if you print out your bank statement right now, what would it reflect? Right? I might say like, oh, personal development is really important to me, or spiritual experiences are really important to me, but maybe I hesitate to pay $50 for a course, but I, without thinking, drop $150 on a new pair of shoes, right? So our spend is a expression of what we value. So what would you like to spend on more or less this year that will be in alignment with your values? I love coffee. I do too. I used to spend so much money, and now I have an espresso machine. I love it, and I bet that thing paid off in the year. And I love drinking lattes on a Saturday morning with my husband and my kids come and cuddle. So yes, I love coffee. But I think about it, what would I love, right? Beautiful. So that's spend. What about give? What would I love to give? And it could be, oftentimes that's the generosity that you talked about, right? Like it could be oftentimes like, oh yeah. When I make this, I will be giving more. When I make this, I'll be giving. When I get to this level of wealth, I will be giving. So, but I would encourage, like, what would I love to give this year? One of my dreams or intentions, I just remember when I saw somebody else sharing, is I'd love to buy my mom a white Mercedes. That was like something I wanted as a kid. And I was like, that is like my intention. Like, I would love it, right? I would love that. Maybe retiring your parents, maybe supporting a cause, maybe volunteering and giving your time, whatever that is. What would you love to give? Next one, what about borrow? Right? Like this year, if we buy a house, we're gonna have to borrow money, lots of money, right? How do I feel about that? So that's the intention. Maybe I'd love to borrow so that maybe instead of single family, maybe I'll buy a duplex and I'll rent the other side. Maybe I'll invest in the investment property, whatever that is. Beautiful, Pamela's like, I'm giving my time to be mentee. Yeah, and the money is not the only way to give. Yes, we feel abundant. This time has the same sense and relationship like of abundance. Like I have time to do the things that matters to me. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Right. So borrow, like if some of us, there's borrow for some of us, like, hey, using a credit card, learning that using a credit card is actually good because you build credit that allows you, right? But also spending a ton on the credit card where you have a high interest rate, that's also not good. So learn, maybe it's like, I want to learn how borrowing works. Maybe that's the intention, right? What it is around borrow. And last one is protect. What systems and things do I need to have in place to protect the things that I already created, right? If you have children, maybe I need a will. Maybe I need a life insurance. Perhaps like I have crypto investments and nobody knows how to access passwords and anything. Like for one of mine, I'm like, oh, not that it's booming this year, right? But like, right, like would somebody know how to access some of this if I needed to, right? So what would love for me? I still like last year we set up a will and I got the life insurance, but this year I'm like, okay, we're definitely setting that up, right? So what is one thing that you need to do in this space? Thank you. Oh, and I see I got a message from my team, 102. So thank you. So thank you, Maddie. Maybe you could put the graphic down. So now we have this powerful intention of a wealthy you when you connect to that version of you. When we have that intention, the next step is to decide that you are worthy, that you have it, that is available for you, and ask the question, how do I make this happen? And to tap into that version and start feeling that now. Because that abundant, that's, let's call it 2.0 version. I'm sure Jackie would come up with some fancy name. She's like a tagline spitting out walking machine. Like things just come through beautifully. So this is like what that version 2.0, that abundant version of you, how does she feel? I know we're out of time, but let me just connect you to that version. So at this moment, I want you all close your eyes. Just close your eyes for a second. Take a deep breath in through your nose, out the mouth. And imagine that all of the things that you put together in your intention is true. All of that. How do you feel? How does that version already accomplish that level of success, earnings, wealth, wellness, vibrancy? How does that version of you feel? It feels grateful, joyful, generous. How does she walk? with her shoulders back, her head up high, her chest front and center, the skip in your step, or confidence in your moves. Connect to that feeling and know that you're already her. You've always been her. And you now just remembering that amazing, magnificent, badass version that you are and always been. So remember this feeling and remember her and start being her now. Another deep breath in, breath out. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. And remember, this is your template for creating what you just imagined. Because we don't create what we desire or what we want. We create who we are. So be her now. And as we connect to that part of ourselves, the inspired next action will come. And we'll talk a lot about that in the coming sessions. So I know we're a few minutes over. I wanted to thank you all for being here. And I want to ask you a question. Do you feel more connected to that abundant version of yourself? And you see that there's a path to get to that beautiful place that you desire to? Is that a yes? I'll say yes. Heck yes. A heck yes. Can we say a heck yes? So thank you. Thank you. And as we shared in the front and at the beginning, wanted to share a gift from the heart. And I freed up my calendar for some time next week. If some of you would love to go further, I'd like to offer a complimentary session to help you to bridge that gap from where that vision is and where you are today. And this is purely a gift, where my purpose is just for you to have the most amazing 1 hour and have the breakthroughs that you need to have to get on that way. So we'll share. There should be a link for my calendar. So hope we'll connect with some of you. But I want to just thank you for spending this amazing hour together. It just melted quickly. For those of you who don't have to run, I wanted to close out the session, but for those of you who don't have to run immediately, I'd like to open up for any questions that you had at the beginning. And I wanted to ask Jack if you wanted to say anything on the closing note, and if there anything that you wanted to share when we close out the session, and then if anybody still wanted to, we can answer any questions.
Great. Thank you, Rasa. I just want to thank everyone for joining. We're a new company platform and experimenting a lot in terms of, how we're doing, what we're doing, how we're doing it. This was a free event. We hope to do a lot at no cost because, and Rasa asked me this when we were in our session yesterday, like, what's my purpose? Like, why am I doing all of this? And for decades, and I know Tootie was on the call, she might have jumped off as someone who've done it for decades too. And I'm just insanely passionate about women's having financial agency, abundance, and freedom. I've known the difference it's made in my life. Pat, I'm looking at you, Annalisa, so many Kara on the call today. And this is a big goal, and if it was solved, the magic formula for how to create this for ourselves, for each other was there, I think we would have a very different world. So I appreciate you giving of your time to join us today. Always appreciate your feedback. If you have my email or message me on LinkedIn, and just thank you for showing up today. And if you can stay for Q&A, we'd love it. If you can't, honor your time and thank you for joining us.